thoughts, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Danzy. Put in for a grant through the New Schools Initiative Network. I'm sorry, I just drew a blank. New Schools Venture, thank you. New Schools Venture on an innovative school. And so that idea was put in during that time. And then when we received the planning grant for the year 2023, or 2023, 24, or no, 22, 23, for the plan out the school for the year, we received the funding. Mrs. Danzy was hired to start the planning process. This school, throughout the time, and remember, from the time the initial board went in, or the initial grant went in, so much personnel has turned over in this school. I think Mrs. Harrington was the only board member that was here during that time. Mrs. Danzy was not here. I was not here, and a lot of key personnel wasn't here. I think during that process, somehow or another, PACE got defined as a workforce development school. And all of our schools, all of our mission is to prepare kids to graduate college and career ready. But I think we've wrapped our hands around this workforce development, how it works, how it's not going to work, when really this is the idea is to develop an innovative school that kids are going to want to go to. Part of the grant is to estimate that first year what enrollment would be. And so the 125 estimate came out there. And so that became kind of a benchmark that we were going to have 125 students. Again, you're basing it off what? We have no historical there. And so we ended the school last year with 47 students. We had 37 students return. One of the decisions was we really needed to give a school a year to work through, figure out some things, and then have a product to go out and recruit this year. And so this year, currently right now, we have 84 students. So we've seen the population of the school double. We've seen through some data that we've collected that the model of providing an alternative type school for students is appealing to the students that were there. This is a school of choice. Nobody's assigned to this school. It's a school of choice. And so we have more people making the choice now. And so so as we talk about data, this school is designed as a personalized, which means every student's on a personalized education plan based on competency-based, taking them where they are and moving them up. And so it's one thing to look at data and compare it to students throughout the district, compare it to the state, but it's another thing to look at that growth data. And so tonight, again, we had the presentation in March or early April where Mrs. Danzy came in. Tonight, it's to follow up on that presentation and also give her the opportunities. But I think it's important is I don't think anybody's ever had a clear picture of PACE. And I know that was one of the challenges when I took over for this district, was trying to build a clear picture for PACE. I think now PACE is developing what it is and the clear picture it is. And proof of that is seeing the doubling of the population, seeing that students did grow last year. Are there achievement levels that we want? No, but none of our 2-3 schools are at achievement levels there. But we are seeing that, and we are seeing that selection process. And so the arbitrary figures of 125, 250, 500, number one, whoever said this school was going to have 500 students one day didn't look around this building to see we couldn't fit 500 students in here unless we were going to expand the building. And so I want to just, as we turn over to Mrs. Danzy, some of these questions she wasn't here for, and some of these numbers are not numbers that she generated as well. And so just make sure that you understand those are not her numbers. Does that make sense? And so I'll turn it over now to Mrs. Danzy. And Ms. Danzy, if you could take about 10 minutes, kind of give an overview, and then make sure we have time for board members to ask clarifying questions and have more of a conversation.
We need to do roll call because we didn't start with roll call.
Okay. I was going on a roll though, wasn't I?
I'm trying for, you
could have interrupted me.
processes.
Mr. Hayes.
Here.
Yeah.
Mr. Hunt.
Here.
Mr. Wilkie.
Here.
Mrs. Harrington.
Here.
And Mr. Hawk.
Here.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Gansey.
All right, good late afternoon. So, when I was told that we were going to do this presentation, which was expected, the goal was to present a reflection or an overview of what had happened over the course of the year, where we were related to what we said we were going to do, and related to the strategic plan that was shared at the start of last year, kind of talking about what did we want to accomplish versus where we were. And so in the presentation that you received, you got data related to all of those aspects that we said were priorities for us in that strategic plan, related to the culture of our campus and related to academics of the campus. And so that's the information that you see inside of that presentation. One of the things that I also wanted to just make sure that we cleared up was what we focus on, who we are, because there's been an idea of that we're a STEM school, that we're workforce development, that we are an advanced school for advanced learners, that we're an alternative school, that we are a school for special education students. We are all and none of those things, okay? Our school is a personalized, competency-based educational format, which means we focus on personalizing the education for students using specific skills and competencies. Yes, we pulled in the durable skills, which workforce says is lacking and missing in those that they see that they're hiring from the discussions that we had with them. Yes, we use STEM topics, STEM opportunities to help teach those competencies and those skills. Yes, we try to pull in every aspect of what we know about our students personally to help engage them in that learning. That's where the personalization comes from. Yes, we differentiate the learning for them and we give them timely feedback because that's what personalized learning is. But we are a competency-based school.
just the meeting competencies, which can be very difficult.
So you want just kind of an understanding of what you're seeing in this slide?
Sorry, yeah, I'm at home unfortunately, so my kids now. So if you take a look at the performance level growth on track, is now it was 26.99% for semester one, but there was a big jump to 65.23%. So that's a significant improvement. Performance level growth on track and have M. Is that mastery?
No, that is missed opportunities to show their mastery of certain skills and competencies. So if they have M's, the M stand for missed opportunity. That means we didn't have a chance to see any evidence that they submitted for their level of performance required to move on. And so if they have missed opportunities, it is definitely going to have a negative effect on their overall performance and being on track, because they have not completed enough evidence to show us. And we don't average in zeros. So we don't say, okay, you get a 0 on this and it's going to be averaged into your overall grade, but you'll still get an overall grade. That missed opportunity is going to hold up their progress until they actually submit the evidence at the required performance level so that they can receive their score.
Okay, so with that, 65%, only 65% of the students are ready to move on. Is that what the 65.23%?
No, the 65.23% just means that in this snapshot, and we have to think in terms of competencies, it's not a standard A through F. In this snapshot, we have all of these students, and this is the way we break it down to be more detailed so we can really dive into what some of the issues or some of the concerns may be. So that number of students, they have their performance level, which is on track, but they also have their growth on track. But you can have students that have performance level on track, growth may not be on track. You can have students where their performance level and growth is not on track. It just depends on the situation. But in this, we want to know if we have students with performance level and growth on track, and that's where they are and they're all green, that's good. But what about the students who have performance level and growth on track, but they may have missed opportunities? We need to dive into what that could mean. And that could mean any number of things. It could mean that they have high skill levels of work. They're doing just fine with the level of performance, but they have bad work habits. And we don't put those two things together. They're very separate things. And so that lets us know that this particular group of students needs support with their work habits.
Okay, I'm a little bit clearer on that, but at the end of the day, my question that I asked the last time is, how many of these students are ready to move on? Because I know it's a different way of looking at things, and I understand this is a very innovative approach, and I like the innovation. But at the end of the day, how many of the students that were there last year have gotten to a point where they can now move on? I'm using just a general thing, from algebra to geometry, or the next level of the subject that they've been taught.
All of our students. Oh, sorry, are you done? Go ahead. All of our students, moved on from the previous portfolio to the next portfolio. They all completed their portfolio. Their opportunity for advancement is not based on time. It's based on evidence and showing the evidence of mastery. So we could just, in a standard school, at a standard classroom, the students are required to be in this course for a certain amount of time and then move on to the next course based on seat time. But we don't use seat time. Our students have the opportunity to advance as fast as they can submit evidence of mastery on skills. And so if they're not on track and they're showing as not on track in one semester, they could be completely on track the second semester because they submitted whatever evidence was missing. They actually started to understand and perform at the level needed or made the growth needed to move on.
And I understand that, and that's what you explained during the first presentation, which is good. My comment back then was I look forward to the second semester.
Mm-hmm.
the question I still have is that now that we're into the next school year here, how many of those students that are on track are they, you said, I know traditionally, you know, 1 year, freshman year, you do this course. If you don't get this course, you flunk out, or you flunk, you have to take it again. Okay. Or you do a summer school and you make it up at that point. So these students at Hayes, you know, how many of those students are still looking that they haven't quite yet got it? So they're going to spend more time next year, this year, getting there. But my concern is that how far does that push? So at the end of 4 years, if they've been behind the ball all the time, how long are they going to be able to graduate on time? I mean,
So we don't do just content focused instruction. They are introduced to very specific skills and competencies in year one. They continue to be exposed and work in those same competencies and skills. They do not change over the course of the 4 years. So they constantly have an opportunity to get better and better at them. Our expectation is that they perform at a higher and higher level on those skills. And the standard nature of competency-based education is that they're going to start low and then end up high. The more they're exposed to it, the more practice they have in it, the more opportunities they have to work with it. And because they clearly know, based on our continuum of performance, what is exactly expected of them, and between the supports that they get from our advisors when we do extra supports and during just our general time, chances of them accomplishing what they need to accomplish are pretty high, as seen in the data on this page. That first semester, you can see the kids started extremely low and behind because it's new. They had not been exposed to it. They hadn't had the opportunity to work with those skills. They didn't know much about the competencies. They didn't know much about the platform. The advisors were learning. Everybody was on a learning curve. But once everybody became familiar with what the expectation was and how you can move, and that's the beauty too of our campus, they can move at a varied pace depending upon their motivation and depending upon their submission of evidence of learning and evidence of mastery. So it's almost like a spiral. They're constantly being exposed to these skills and competencies, but the expectation is that they perform at a higher level at each exposure.
the other question, if I might, then I'll let other board members ask questions. I'll turn it over to them. And the student to teacher ratio, I have a concern with seeing the achievement of the student as compared to the rest of the school district when in your active Inspire results for PACE relative to the district. Given that it was basically a 10-to-1 student to teacher ratio, or close to that, I would have expected a higher performance by this PACE student.
So our students actually did perform a little higher, but even though we had a ratio that was smaller as far as student to teacher ratio, we also had a lot of other challenges and we had a lot less resources because we are a finite number of staff with a lot of responsibilities. So we had a learning curve for everyone on our campus to understand and implement a totally different approach to learning as opposed to the traditional business as usual, where you can kind of plug and play because everybody's already familiar with the traditional style of learning. And that's not something that we did. Our staff also had more responsibilities added to their roles beyond advisor. Our staff went through a number of shifts with who was on our team, which has an effect on how our students perform because we are a school of singletons. And that means that any shift has the chance to affect our students in a negative way regarding their academic performance, the opportunities they get for support, and the quality of instructor we have access to. We had a whole quarter where we had subs in 2 of the classes that were not content specialists, that were not familiar with the systems, that did not have the training that the previous advisors had in order to move kids the way that we move kids. And I totally understand the thought about it sounds good, that if you have a smaller student to teacher ratio, that the performance should be different. But that doesn't include the realities and the things that come into play. That's a great theory. And in a vacuum, it would be correct. But when you have other things that come into play, it doesn't necessarily work out that way when you have limited resources. And even despite that, we made positive gains academically and with behavior.
Yeah, in the slide presentation, you kind of give us a snapshot of ELA, and how that line, the standards and how it lines up with what we're going on, what we're doing at PACE. But what I'd like to see or hear about is how does that line up with the rest of the content areas? So do all of our content areas, are they aligned with the state standards, and how does that play out?
So if you take a look at what I gave to you as a snapshot, and all of them are aligned in that very same way.
Okay.
All of our skills and competencies come directly from the Common Core standards from the nation, which Arizona standards are derived from that with a couple of changes. So all of our standards are also aligned to the competencies and the competencies to the standards. There's also a slide, let me see if I can find, where I kind of show you how that works. So if you look at this slide, you can see at the top, we have the standards from the state of Arizona. And at the bottom, we have our snapshot, not all, a snapshot of our competencies in ELA. You can see in the language and the wording that we cover what the state standard wants you to cover.
Because when I'm looking at it, and it could just be a lack of understanding on my part. So I'm not asking because I think I know better, but maybe it's just wording, but it almost seems like it's a little too easy. In the sense of, all right. So I guess what I'm looking for is put into practice. What does it look like? A student, pick a book or something like that. What's that look like?
So every single one of our skills, all the skills come out of a standard. Basically, it's the crossover skills that kids can do across every content area. Okay. The only difference is that the standard also contains the content or the topic that they want students to cover in that moment, not necessarily just the skill. We're looking at trying to cross over the skills, because the skills, not necessarily the content or the topic, the skills are the things that tell us how successful students will be at the college level and when they are work ready. How do we know that? Data, meeting with the workforce, people in the workforce and our business partners, seeing and knowing what it takes for our students to be successful, and also thinking about, we don't know specifically what they're going to have access to as far as professions in the future, but we know what skills and what competencies they need in order to be successful. They need to be able to think critically. They need to be able to have conversations with others. They need to be able to communicate clearly, collaborate, all of those things. So we pulled all of those from these state standards, and then we said, okay, how do we get them to the level required? And so this particular slide shows our continuum of performance, which is very specific. Every single skill has a continuum which contains indicators at each level. So we have level 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. And this has been researched, it's not just anything made up. Level 10 performance, when we get them there, that means they are college and career ready. So they're ready to be successful out in the workforce. And it tells them specifically, I can do all of these things in every last one of these skill areas, in every last one of these competencies, in every last one of these subjects.
Yeah, because the reason why I ask is ELA is one of those things where you can take an ELA standard and put it into science or social studies or whatever. And so but one of the few things that are maybe has a little universality to it where you can kind of plug it into whatever.
And that's a help, because we want the kids to see the connection between learning. Right. When it's very segmented and separated, it's much harder to comprehend. But when they see how everything links together, then it starts to make sense.
Okay. So my question from there then is, okay, say we're at what I can read the levels, but how is it then that we then determine that they're ready to go from 2 to 4 to 6 up
The evidence.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by submitting evidence of performance.
all right.
So this could be, say, for this particular competency, this skill level, ELA 1.1, choose and apply reading strategies. There may be a requirement overall. I need 3 pieces of evidence from you at level. It depends on how much work the kids have had in it. We want them to be at 10 by the time they leave in the 4th year. Not necessarily in the 1st year. We're working them to that point. So we could say, I want you to be at a level 8 by the time you leave here. It's telling them specifically what they need to do and what they need to show you in that evidence to be at a level 8. So our advisors come together. Sometimes they do it individually in their courses as they've set and planned and connected these skills to the learning targets and what's required. Sometimes they together as a team because they've decided we're all going to look for these things. We're all going to see if this student has this. They can demonstrate mastery in any class because that reading skill is universal. And so let's come together to see what we have, to see the evidence and score it and make sure that we are scoring according specifically to what's required in the continuum.
Okay. So, and correct me if I'm missharing. So, but I like to try to simplify things sometimes for me as best I can. So say, for example, level 2 is, the cat sit on the mat, right? Then by 10, you should be able to tell me maybe, okay, yes, the cat's sitting on the mat, but what's the mat look like? Where's the mat? And
It should be far more
what color is the
sophisticated.
mat,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
how high off the ground is the mat? And
The
things like that.
response is going to be far more sophisticated.
All right. And then if they're not, then okay, we still have more work to do.
And
Okay.
we know specifically what work there needs to be done because you can see within those indicators, this is what they're missing. So this is where I'm going to work.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm good.
And I think, Mr. Hayes, if you don't mind,
Go
Mrs.
ahead.
Dancy, the current state standards, which was taken from the Common Core, was a realization that up until that, we were teaching knowledge, not what to do with knowledge. And so with our new standards is how do we utilize knowledge, apply knowledge to take that knowledge and create some kind of new information with it. And so it's much more in depth. So when I was in school, I might be able to show that I could master something because I got lucky on a multiple choice test and had a good day picking. With competency based, you got to show evidence that you can actually do it. There's no luck involved. You either show you can do it or you can't.
That's it.
Does that make sense, sir?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
I
you
have a
for
number of
being here, Miss Dancy.
questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Am I understanding you when you say that that we have a 10-to-1 ratio at the PACE school, but for an example, in our typical schools, we have maybe 35-to-1, and there is no benefit from having 10-to-1 as to 35-to-1 other than in a vortex, which we know doesn't exist?
I didn't say we had 10-to-1. We don't have 10-to-1
Okay,
currently.
well, that's what I had heard 10-to-1. I apologize. Okay. Last year, okay. Because one of the questions I had originally asked was, what is our student to teacher ratio
Mhm.
as compared to the schools, the high schools that we currently have?
Yeah. And
So-
so when we asked, you mind?
Go ahead.
When we answered that question last year, we based it on last year's enrollment. Right now, we have 5 full-time staff and 86 students. So it's roughly 17-to-1 right now. Is it still below the district average? Yes, but it's moving towards that, what we would see as our desired of 25 to 30-to-1 per staff.
Okay.
And I think thinking about it in this way, I think this kind of helps a little bit. So we have students, our special populations that need very specific, intensive, direct supports in order to move them forward. All of our students get that. All of our students have a personalized learning plan, which is very intensive, has a lot of information. They need a lot of supports because there's a lot of expectation for performance in that continuum and in what we want to see when they finish with us. Just like you go into a classroom with students who have special needs, and the ratio is small, the ratio is small for a reason. The ratio is small because you really want to give them the support that they need to get to where they need to go. It's kind of the same format.
How, if this were to be successful, how would you integrate that into a large school like our high schools are of 4,000 or 2,000 in each school? How would that be able to be integrated, or would it be able to be even integrated?
That depends on the format of that school. Personalized education, competency-based education with the expectations that it has is very much based on the relationships and your understanding of the students. And if you have too many students, you're not going to have the time. You're not going to have the connection. You're not going to know as much about them. They're not going to know as much about you. And so the larger the group, the less effective this is going to be.
So my concerns is that we're not giving our students equal opportunity. And I have a real concern there, whether we're doing that with intent or we're doing that with the situation that we're deliberately keeping the pace small as opposed to the high schools. I don't know how your recruiting process is going, but my original understanding of PACE to begin with was a workforce ready system
That's a
to
part
where
of it.
these kids would be technically up to date with what they needed to go to work for some of the places that we have around Casa Grande. And that's why the first 2 years we were leaving it as just general education. And the next 2 years was supposed to be highly sophisticated, very specialized in an area that they wanted to move towards. So I have some concerns that this is not equally handed out to all students, and that
So
it won't be.
first, the workforce development. We do share and instruct the skills needed for students to be successful in the workforce, in the world of work. But the goal is to make sure that no matter which path they take, no matter which route they want to go, they're going to have the skills needed. If they choose a place locally, great. If they don't, great. If they want to go to college, great. We want you to have all the skills that will allow you to be successful in either setting, in either scenario. And our school is a choice. So you don't have to go there. If you want what the other traditional campuses offer, you have that chance as well. This is meant to provide students who don't want to go there something different so that they remain within our district and not go to the charter schools.
And I would, to answer your question about making it fair for all the students, any student has an opportunity to enroll in PACE if they choose to. Like Ms. Stanzi said, it's a more personalized, unique school. It doesn't fit everybody's needs. It fits the needs of the children that decide to go there.
Mhm.
I know that in, my own children, they're probably going to choose a more traditional route just because of what they want to get out of school. But there are other children that would gladly choose this one just because they need that more personalized learning, the different pathways.
Mhm.
So it fits, I see it fits a need, and I just don't think it fits every student's need, nor should it.
Mm.
That's why we have 3 schools, because we need to fit all the needs of all the kids.
Yeah, we want to be fair to what all of our students in this community say that they need. And they said that they needed a smaller environment with a more personalized approach. That's how we got here.
But if I might, this is Richard, just to, piggyback off to Mr. Hunt, what he's saying is, yeah, every school, it would be great to have a lower student to teacher ratio. And I think that's what he was kind of getting at is our scores would go up, and I think so, if we had a 17-1 throughout this district. It's not financially possible. And so, even if it's 20-1 or 25-1, and so these students are getting an advantage of going to a smaller school. Now, granted, it was 125, 150. That's what I heard last year before the session, the school started. And then that was just freshman and sophomore. So ultimately, I could see where it was going to grow. And I don't know how you grow, like Mr. Lavender is pointing out, we're not fitting 500 kids in that school. So how big can Pace get? And are we going to be increasing if this number of students goes up by 50 next year? Are we adding teachers? Or are we maintaining it and the student to teacher ratio is going to go up? So I guess that's the question.
And so, Mr. Wilkie, I'm going to go ahead and answer that question because student ratios are going to be something we're going to do at a district level. Currently, right now, Arizona allocates about $6,000 per high school student. The state of Connecticut allocates $30,000 per high school student. You go to Connecticut, you're going to have those kind of class sizes in high school. If the state of Arizona would give us $30,000 per high school student, and that we have to live within the funding mechanisms that we have. The new school initiative or venture is providing us funds to get us through these transition years, to get us to this point in there. That's why we received the $500,000 grant, was to provide some of the innovation, but also provide some of these years where there is that discrepancy. And so, although it looks like there's a discrepancy of 17-1 versus 30-1, a lot of that discrepancies is funded through the grant that Mrs. Danzy has worked hard to maintain and provide that for the district. It would be certainly a lot more challenge if we didn't receive that $500,000 in funding.
So we have the same funding we had last year for PACE?
I'm not sure I follow your question, sir. The grant this year is
The same level as last year?
no, sir. It's not at the same level, but it is at $125,000 level. Yes. And last year was at a $250,000, and then we have one more year after this one at $125,000 for next year.
Thank you.
Is that enough money to carry PACE through? Or will the school district have to add to that in order to make this thing continue?
It's enough to fill some of the holes yet. Yes. And so I'd have to do a cost by cost comparison now that we know we have 86 students, plugged in that $125,000. But that's the challenge is, you have to base teacher salaries, base PACE salaries versus union. It's just that costing per pupil. And I can summarize that a little bit better once we have a clear count there, and then what it costs there, and then to add in that money. But it levels it out. And last year with the 250,000, where we had lower numbers, it helped to level it out. It helps us get through the lean years. And as we continue to grow, and that, I know Mr. Hawks had some questions, and we got about 50.
I'm enjoying all this.
Well, you started to
Thank
ask
you,
the
Miss
question
Danzy.
twice.
No, that's okay. I'm a little bit slow, but I take things in. I absorb them. My main concern and my main thought on that whole thing is what's best for the students. What is the students going to get out of this that makes us worth putting them dollars? And it's like the old saying, or is the juice worth the squeeze? And are we getting a substantial amount of benefit out of this program? And I heard you tell Mr. Wilkie earlier that the PACE students are doing a little bit better than the regular high school students. And I was wondering now what you have as evidence of that. Was it competency exams, comparing them?
It was based off of the benchmarks. So the benchmarks we took as a district, our performance against the district performance.
Share some of your student data responses and how they feel about the school.
So one of the things you said, what you're concerned about, what the students are getting out of it. The students are getting out of it an opportunity to participate in an education that fits and meets the needs of them. when they haven't felt like that previously and didn't feel like they were getting what they needed from the other campuses. And our students, one of the reasons we designed the space the way that we designed it was because they did say they needed something different. And since this is a school of choice, the students have to choose to come here. We have to consider what they want, what they need, and what's going to work. So when we asked our students if our campus helped them to feel like they belonged and feel like they had a sense of community, 81% of them actually said yes, which is huge. We want them to feel like they belong. We want them to feel like they're a part of it so that they're more willing to take risks, take educational risks, actually want to come to school, be engaged when they do come to school, start to think differently about what education is, and start to want to take control of their learning instead of having it be something that's done to them. We want them to see that they have the chance to shape their high school experience, but within the boundaries of what we need to do, required by the state, required by the board, required by a board, all of those things.
So do they seem like they're more motivated than the average student comparing the two schools?
I haven't spoken to any of the students in the other schools, but we took a pre-occupancy survey before they came to our campus and a post-occupancy survey, and that's what these results are. The teal is the post-occupancy responses. My learning space makes me want to do my best. You can clearly see they feel like it makes them want to do their best. Same thing with the space helping them feel engaged in their learning. You can see the differences in how they feel about being engaged in the learning from having the opportunity to attend PACE, to be there, to experience a different learning environment and a different learning style. You can also see that they feel like we value hands-on learning. And that was a big part of what we wanted to be able to do to keep the students engaged, is make the learning active and make sure they had a chance to do, to apply, and not just read from a book or write answers to a test. Or we wanted them to apply the learning in real ways, real authentic ways, and performance-based ways. And so that's why our end of the year finals are not finals, they're exhibitions, because the students need to produce something, they need to create something, they need to solve some kind of problem, they need to come up with something that is performance-based.
So when they reach level 10, do we graduate them early?
They can. We have some that are graduating early, yes.
Okay, because then we're not using additional resources just for them to fill a seat.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's not about seat time at all.
And I can share a personal testimonial from a student that I was the principal at Belago. 8th grade year was a struggle, barely got through. 9th grade year, the traditional school, got kicked out of school, entered PACE as a 10th grader, an active student council member now, doing very well and working hard to try to make up that lost year, because the student should be a sophomore,
Right.
or should be a junior now, but as a sophomore because he lost that entire year. But he's found a home, because one of the hardest things we have to do as educators is connect with students and develop those connections. And so this student has connected with the PACE program, the staff, some of them are sitting here today, and Mrs. Danzy. So it's providing that space for that child who had not been successful at the traditional high school. And I can tell you was not successful at Belago, even though barely passed through. And I know you have
One on the what you were saying, I do appreciate, because I spent 20 years in the military and I had to train, I'd say, thousands of soldiers in different areas. And some learn by reading it, some learn by hands-on. So you have to show them, then have them do it. I mean, that's learning. How they learn it isn't as important as the fact that they do learn it. And hopefully that's happening with these students. And if it's what's best for the students, I'm behind it.
Yeah, and one of the things I'd encourage all board members is, let me know a time that you would like to come visit the school, tour it with me, talk to students, and see what's going on there.
Yeah, that's what I said last year before everything closed.
Right. Is there any questions? Because we got a waiting room that's getting kind of full. Mrs. Danzy, I know you want to make a closing statement.
Yeah, I want you to know that our whole point in doing this was to give students and families what they said they wanted and needed.
we did see the gap, we did see the opportunity, and we also saw kids leaving our district to go to other places that were providing something very similar. And we want to keep our kids. We want them to be their personal best. We want them to be successful beyond high school. A lot of kids get out of high school, go into the world of work, go into college, and they don't succeed. They don't thrive. And it's because they don't have the skills. They may have learned the content, but they don't have the skills. And we want them to have those skills. That's it.
And
Mike, just one closing comment. I just want to thank Ms. Gandy and all her staff for working so hard to create that environment for the students. So thank you very much.
And just one final comment that I would like to make. One of the things we've emphasized this year with our PLCs in talking to staff is we're building the plane as we go. And we're going to make adjustments, what's working, what's not working. But the plane's not built yet. But we got to build it so we can land it. It's the same kind of thing with PACE. You know, we had an image, or someone had an image of what the plane was going to be, but now we're really building the plane based on the needs, the abilities of the staff, the students, and so we're still building this plane. But I really would encourage all of you to set up times to come visit the school and see some of this in action and see how different it is than our regular campus. But I appreciate Mrs. Danzy, you coming in and tonight and sharing. I appreciate the board for the discussion tonight. I know we got a lot of awards to get done. We have a lot of people out there and there. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And the kids would love to see you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess we'll adjourn for now until we
6:30.
come back at 6:30. Thanks, everybody. Yes.
Yeah, here he comes.
To order, Mary, please, roll call.
Okay, Mr. Hayes,
Here?
Mr. Hunt,
Here.
Mr. Wilkie,
Here.
Mrs. Harrington,
Here.
and Mr. Hawks.
Here.
All right. Now time for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we're going to have a moment of contemplation and reflection. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to section item 2, the preliminary items, adopting the agenda. Does anyone have any questions or want to make a motion?
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay, Mary?
Second.
No, thanks.
Mr. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie,
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington.
Yes.
And Mr. Hawks.
Yes.
Now on to item B. Minutes from prior meetings. Everyone has a chance to look this over. Any questions? If not, can I have a motion, please?
I move that we adopt the minutes as presented.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie,
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington.
Yes.
Mr. Hawks.
Yes.
Okay, now on to the exciting part of our meeting today, on to recognitions. We have quite a few. Mr. Lavender.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrington. The first one we're going to recognize tonight is our June Employee of the Month. She was not able to attend the month of June, so she's here tonight. And that's Shyla Sewer. If she would please join me up here. So this is a nomination coming from Mrs. Kortson and Dr. Lineberry. We're thrilled to honor Shyla as the Employee of the Month. Shyla is not only an exceptional teacher, but a passionate and dedicated individual who goes above and beyond for her students. During the recent grad night trip to Disneyland, which was last May, Shyla showcased her remarkable care and commitment when one of her students fell ill. Shyla's immediate response was to ensure the student's comfort and enjoyment. She arranged for a wheelchair and asked the student, "Where do you want to go?" ensuring that the students could still experience the magic to Disneyland. Shyla made it possible for the student to ride Gardens of the Galaxy, accompanying her every step of the way. She provided a blanket to keep her warm and made sure that she had food and drink. Thanks to Shyla's dedication and kindness, the student was able to finish the trip in wonderful memories that last a lifetime. My understanding, you had 30,000 steps that day? Yeah. And then our union principal, Dr. Lineberry, said, Shyla is a bundle of energy, enthusiasm, and cougar pride. Mrs. Sewer is in charge of our student council as a track coach and works with our tennis team, all in addition to teaching health and physical education. Ms. Sewer is a giver, working tirelessly without even being asked to make the high school experience one of quality, friendship, and fun for all students. I'm extremely proud of her and grateful for all her hard work and dedication. Mrs. Sewer absolutely demonstrated what it means to have cougar pride. So, ladies and gentlemen, our June Employee of the Month, Shyla Sewer. Jim? I thought I saw Jim was somewhere here. Huh? Jim, you want to join us? And any other family join us up front here? Thank you. Probably go say hi to the.
We're getting this to, hopefully.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And our August Employee of the Month is Ralph Bellick, our Facilities Director. If Ralph could please join me up here. Congressman Siscomani, we talked tonight about the American dream, and obviously Ralph has lived the dream here with us, progressing up our ranks to now Facilities Director, as a maintenance worker, as a supervisor, and now the leader. He is a man of multiple talents that this district benefits from, because he can build a house, he can put in an air conditioner, he can plumb, he can mow, he can fix, he's a mechanic, and he can golf. He's also an excellent father who's raised 4 beautiful children. But we utilize these multiple talents to provide services for this district. And so it's just a blessing to have somebody multi-talented like this. He has high expectations, first of all, for himself, but also for the staff that he works with to maintain our facilities here in the district. His relationship with the State Facilities Board has meant millions of dollars in project reimbursements for much needed building improvements and things like that. And then every year at graduation, it's just amazing to watch him set up Union and have it ready for practice on Monday morning, graduation on Tuesday night. As soon as we're done, the fireworks are gone. All night he works and his crew work to get all those chairs, the stage, the video screens moved over to Vista so they can have their graduation Wednesday morning and then have their graduation Thursday night. And again, he hits it hard, getting all that equipment off the field. And then we really saw Ralph in action these last couple of weeks with the air conditioning situations. We kind of had and I just went blank on February 2nd, where the day keeps repeating. We had an AC system go out. We got a repair in there. And one Monday night, the repair system, brand new, blew a gasket. Ralph worked all night to get it up and ready. And so it was operational on the first day of school. And then the next Monday, it blew it again, almost like the same time. And so he worked in getting a second repair system in there. We lost some days where we had to send the students home for online learning just because of the challenges we have with the air conditioning. But we probably would have been in school 2 or 3 days, not the 8, 9, or 10 that we've been in at Union if it wasn't for Ralph and all his hard work. One time I had talked to him last week and he was 21 hours in to his shift when I spoke to him at 5 o'clock in the morning. He went home briefly for a nap and then came back. And it's that dedication to his team, to the students, to the staff here. And so that make him the Employee of the Month because he's able to do those things. He's also a pleasure to work with. So again, our August Employee of the Month is Ralph Bellick. Oh, yeah. Where's your family, Ralph?
Scattered everywhere.
I expect to see about 10 kids coming up there. Close.
Before I walk off, I asked if I could just say a couple words. I would tell you that I wouldn't be standing up here if it wasn't the support of my team, my supervisors, all the people that work underneath me, my wife and my family, the dedications, some of the lonely nights. But I know what I signed up for, and that's to keep providing the best that I can possibly do with my team and my staff to keep this district going. And once again, thank you to my staff and always having the great support from Mr. Lavender, and really appreciate it. It makes my job a lot easier. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited tonight as our second annual Congressman Juan Ciscomani American Dream Inspirational Educators Award. Our Congressman Ciscomani is here. I'm going to ask him to come forward. And Congressman, is there anything you would like to say before we call up these 25 extraordinary educators?
You know what? I just want to say congratulations to all the families that are here, and to the two awardees that each has received the Employee of the Month. It's June, right? So June for Shyla, and then August for you, Ralph. I mean, if listening to what they've done and the work ethic, if Congress had half this work ethic, that you guys are in a much better place as a country. But congratulations, Shyla, for what you've done. And Ralph, I mean, it is August 12th. You get the August award already? They call it. We've seen it now, right? I mean, it's over. It's only the 12th, but we know who's going to get the award in August. But I want to say congratulations. Yes, the reason that we promote the American Dream so much is because the American Dream can look whatever it is that it means for you all. So I'll share with you one quick story of when I was graduating high school. When I was graduating high school, just so you know my background, I'm an immigrant from Mexico. So I came over when I was 11 years old. Became a U.S. citizen in 2006, way after I graduated from high school in the year 2000. Then I became a member of Congress 16 years later after becoming a U.S. citizen. So I love this country and the opportunities it brings. Because even kids like me can make it all the way. When I was in high school and I was 3 weeks from graduating, I'm the oldest in my family, so I didn't know the difference between a college, a community college, and a university. Before even attending high school, I didn't know what a GPA was. Neither did my parents. I translated for them wherever we went. Some of you grew up that way as well. So anyway, long story short, I'm walking out of the counselor's office 3 weeks from graduating. And the counselor is sitting there with another person, and they asked me, hey, what are you doing after school? 3 weeks from graduation. You know what I said? I'm going to go to track practice. He looks at me, he's like, buddy, I'm talking about high school. Not today. But high school. My mind wasn't even there. I didn't think I had a shot or an opportunity. So they said, I've looked you up, you're an athlete, you're good on the field, the teachers, most teachers like you, we'll give you a 1 semester scholarship to Pima Community College. The rest will be up to you. I got nothing else. So I said, great, I'll take it. Took it, attended there, majored in political science, became student body president. 22 years later, I get elected to the United States Congress. Here's the thing, my wife, Laura, the mom of our 6 kids, she is the first woman in her family to attend college ever in the history of her family. She was born in California. That's a country to the west as well. So, her family came from Michoacan. She's the first woman in her family to attend college ever. She's the youngest of 3, 2 older brothers and her. And she goes on a full academic ride to Stanford University. Another American Dream story. Here's the thing, we're both selected in the same year for something called the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. They select 10 males and 10 females from the whole country for this competitive public policy fellowship in Washington, D.C. And most of the other students looked like her. They were from Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Columbia, and the community college. And that's where we met. So we tell our kids today, it doesn't matter where you start, because look, mommy went on the full academic ride to Stanford. Daddy went on the 1 semester Mercy Scholarship to the community college. And we ended up in the same place at the same time. Because it's not where you start, it's what you do with what's given to you that will actually make a difference of where you're gonna end up. So when you look around this room and I see the diversity in the room, I don't know how many people are first generation, how many are immigrants, how many have been here. You can trace your lineage back to the Mayflower. The reality is that we live in a country that gives us all an opportunity. And whether we all started in the same place with the same resources or not, at the end of the day, we all have a shot to go out and get the dreams that we want. And it's not about money, it's not about status, it's not about anything else except are you pursuing your own version of that American dream? That is what matters at the end of the day. And when I look at the profiles of the people being honored here today, it reminds me a lot of my family, of how we worked hard, living in a 2-bedroom apartment, fought hard to be citizens of this country. And my dad drove a bus his whole life here, just so that I could have a shot. So for all the students here, thank your parents. For all the parents here, gracias. Thank you for all that you've done, because you've sacrificed so much so that this generation can have that shot. So all the board members behind me here that are giving up their time, volunteering, all the teachers, all the educators, this is a team sport. And I encourage everyone to look around us and be proud of who we are, be proud of your community. And when we celebrate the 25 people today, I want you to cheer for them loudly, because it's based on all their work and effort. And I want to tell you one more thing before we turn it over and we get going with these awards and this recognition. Someone once questioned my own version of the American dream by telling me, you talk about your dad a lot and him living the American dream, but he's a bus driver. How can that be the American dream? I said, well, let me go ask him. So I asked him in Spanish. It was a jefe. That's what I call him, a jefe, right? I said, jefe, people are asking me if you're living the American dream because you're a bus driver. He said, well, let me tell you this. I get to go to work all week, clock out on Friday, go with the kids over the weekend, have fun, go to church, be with your mom, go to all the football games and soccer games and everything, clock back in on Monday, and then go back to work. Then he asked me, when was the last time you clocked out? I said, I don't clock out, Dad. He's like, looks at me like I'm the one living the American dream. The point of that is, the American dream is what you wanted it to be for you. It's your version. It's your story. It's for you to go make something out of it and not make excuses blaming one person or the other, or where we started, or what happened to us. We've all had struggles. And when you think of this example and this story, I right now can hear some of the thoughts thinking of your own journey, of how proud you are of those that pay that price before you, and how much you want to work hard for those behind you. That's how it works. And the great equalizer is the education that we can receive. This school district, and the leadership of the people behind me here are doing that for you and your loved ones. So thank you. Thank you. I am a product of public education in this state, of the community college, of Pell Grants, free and reduced lunch programs growing up in school, all the opportunities given to me. I decided to take it and run with it. And now I'm in a position where I can give back. So I'm going to encourage you to do the same. Go out there, go for what you want. Don't make excuses. You continue to lead and give back to those that are behind you. No matter the age, you can always be a blessing to your community. And you already are. And we're here to celebrate that. So thank you for the honor to join you today and share a few words. Let's get going with the awards.
So I'm going to ask my two executive directors to please join me up here, Tina Daniels, Jeanette Beecham. The plaques are over there. And so I will call up our staff members one by one. Again, we got a cross-section of our support team. As Juan mentioned, his dad was a bus driver in Tucson. His mom worked in the school cafeteria. And so education is very important.
School bus driver. I forgot to mention a school bus driver and then a city bus driver. But he drove, driving students around is another level of family.
So our first awardee, and if you could start with Jeanette and Tina to get the plaque, and then head over to the congressman, David Carter.
a picture of it. Have a great day.
Tommy Clardy.
Got it.
Vance Danzy.
Great work, man. Good on you.
Melanie DiCarlo.
There you go. Thank you.
Victoria Figueroa Medina.
Muchas gracias.
Felicidades. Aquí tiene. Gracias. Es para usted. Gracias.
Lisa Flores.
Might as well just stay standing.
I know, I was thinking.
Doing more, burning more calories.
Lisa. Lord. Brittany Fox.
Congratulations.
Amanda Hartman.
Congratulations.
I know Art Hicks is next. Art's not able to make it tonight. Janine Corgell. Janine. A repeat from last year. Oh, Amanda Gonzalez Peters. She's down the list. Down the list. Oh.
Oh, it's under Peters instead of Gonzalez. Alphabetically, go by Gonzalez. Yes.
We're in alphabetical order. We just don't know what alphabet we're using. Congressional alphabet, not so confusing. There you go. This is yours, right? Is that You identify yourself. Good, good, good. Thank you. Congratulations.
Back again this year. He got the award last year is Anthony Banks Lee. Anthony's going to be a politician one day, one. Anthony, you're supposed to get the award, then go over there. Martin Lopez. Congressman Juan Martin trains with our local championship boxer, Jesus Ramos, if you ever need a strongman next to you. Mina Larona. You and Mina came to the United States the same age. Charity Montijo. I don't think she was able to make it. You talked to Charity today when you were in my office, but she's got a situation going on tonight. Stephen Nelson. Maria Paradas Ramirez was not able to make it tonight. We just did Amanda Gonzalez Peters. Emma Sanchez. Emma works in the cafeteria. She works in the cafeteria for us. Cynthia Soto. Norma, please stay there. Norma, please stay. Also, Congressman Cynthia, Norma is Cynthia's mother, so I thought of getting a picture with both of them with you.
Look at this.
Congratulations.
Right there, right?
Rebecca Spollinger. You are, Becca.
College shirt Monday,
You are
they're
fine.
on a rotation, okay?
It's a-
Next week is Labor Day,
You're the most
okay?
appropriately one dressed in here, other than our goose. Wendy Spencer.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, sorry.
There you go. Congratulations. Great.
Aaron Takar. So just to share a little bit of history, we had a student that passed away last year, and Aaron was asked by the family to deliver the eulogy and did a phenomenal job. Andrea Turan.
Great work, great work.
Leslie Vasquez.
Congratulations. Yeah, of course. Awesome. There you go. Great work, great work.
Michael Wagner. All right, Congressman, we have one more award tonight before you go, and it's our Talk to Me Goose Awards. I'm going to ask the board member who just by chance wore the Talk to Me Goose shirt stand next to you, and then Mrs. Beecham has a prop that you need to wear.
Okay. I like it.
So our Talk to Me Goose Award is collaboration is a critical skill in education, essential element of education job satisfaction, resiliency, coping, and increasing academic achievement. Your efforts to support your colleagues have been noticed and making an impact in our educational community. Thank you for your commitment to excellence and for sharing your extraordinary depth of knowledge and amazing skills with your colleagues. And I should have changed that to community because, sir, I'm selecting you for the Talk to Me Goose Award for all your work that you have done for this community. Juan and I have known each other for several years. I was serving as chairman of the Arizona Civil Rights Advisory Board when he walked in one day with a lot darker hair and 2 children. He now has 6 children. But I knew right away this man was special, and he was extraordinary, and he was going to do some wonderful things. Driving home that night, and this is absolutely no hint, Congressman, I said to my wife, I just met the future governor. And if they could change the Constitution to people not born outside the United States, probably a future president. But he just struck me then how passionate that he was. At that time, he was working for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in Tucson, helping Hispanic companies. And then Governor Ducey noticed his talent, immediately selected him to chair the Arizona-Mexico Commission during the Ducey administration. He's talked about running for Congress. And so one of the things he's done, he's on the Appropriations Committee, and one of the reasons he's in town today is he has pushed through appropriations $1 million for the Casa Grande Elementary School District for a community center to support our families here in the community, and $1.8 million for the high school district to provide teacher housing. And today he heard about the need that our educators have for this. Now we still need to get this, the final vote approved at the House floor, which will be coming in September. And so and then obviously him coming for the Cisco Money Award. But I cherish the collaboration that we have with the congressman, the support that he has. And so I wanted to present to him the Talk to Me Goose Award. I also have a ribbon with a medal here for you, Congressman.
I love it. Let's
I'm going to ask Jennifer to put it, when she posts this picture, to put an online question. Who looks more like Tom Cruise? And who looks more like Anthony Edwards or Goose? I'm probably going to lose both of them. But sir, would you like to make a final comment? I know you're a guy that's 6 children waiting for you in Tucson, so we certainly want to let you get moving back home, sir. But make a final comment.
I don't have much more to say, and that's saying a lot for someone in office, right? But I'll tell you this, thank you. This means so much to me because, yeah, Jeff and I met over 12 years ago, and we struck a friendship that we didn't know where it was going to take besides just working with someone that you really like. And when you grow up in this community the way that Jeff has and that I have, and then you find yourself a decade later in positions that you can work together and actually benefit the communities that we both love, that's a very special gift that our communities have provided us, and that's all of you. This is a new area for the Southern Arizona District and Congress, and I'm so proud of you representing all of you and to work for you all on your behalf in Washington. But at the end of the day, it's about families. When they ask me what kind of business are you in or what's your line of work, when I meet new people, I tell them I'm in the people business. That's what we're here to do. And as educators and as family members here, that's what we're all about. We're in the people business. So thank you so much for partaking in that. Keep at it. I look forward to seeing you here again next year for another round of awards. And where's my man here that has gone in every year? So I he just walked out, right? I expect to see him here again next year and some new faces as well. Thank you all so much. God bless you guys. It's been
Wait till we can see them.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
We're going to let the congressman safely depart, and then we're going to go ahead and release those that are awardees to go ahead and go home as well. Keep them, Steve. So we're going to reconvene the meeting in about 3 minutes for the business portion of the meeting tonight. If you were here for the awards, please drive safe tonight.
I was just been busy, but I just wanted to thank you for such an opportunity because I am going to thank you. Yeah, congratulations. I am.
Lavender, are you ready to give the superintendent's report?
Yes, ma'am. I think we're on the wrong side of the building right now.
I know.
First of all, I want to just say tonight, I want to thank all of the community members that have reached out to myself, Mr. Danzy, the Vista Grande community, to extend their condolences on the passing of our athletic director, Louis Ramirez. He's going to be a big loss for our community. I also wanted to report the weapon detection systems are up and operational. Vista led the way. It'll be 2 weeks Wednesday for they've been in place. Pace went live that Friday, so it'll be 2 weeks this Friday. And Union will be 1 week this Wednesday that they've been in place. Systems are operating efficiently. We're working out the bugs and things like that, and it's helping. And so we appreciate the efforts of all the schools. I want to also compliment Dr. Lineberry and the Union staff for the decision to go early release about 10 o'clock one day and have all the students prepared to go home at 1:10 for early release and then online instruction for the next 3 days while we got the air conditioning up and operating. Again, I talked about the challenges that Mr. Bellick and his team went through to get them up and operational. But we know the system is working because we're starting to get complaints now that the building is too cold. And so that's a good thing. This week, our students are starting their pre-test for benchmark testing for the IXL system, which the board approved in July. We'll be doing a pre-test over the next 2 weeks in reading, writing, and math. And then we'll be doing a mid-year assessment in January to see how our students are doing, and then an end-of-the-year assessment in July to see, or not July, May, to see how our students grew through the year. Well, I also next month will be bringing to you our teacher evaluation system and sharing with you how the evaluation system links into the benchmarks that we're doing. But we wish staff and students the best of luck there. We're also kicking off our fall sports season, football, tackle football for boys and girls, flag football for our girls, volleyball for our girls, golf for our boys and girls. I think they're the sports we're doing right now. Union, this is going to have their home opener on August 30th since Coconino High School. And then Union's home opener is the same night as state championship coach Jake Barrow is bringing Corona Sol down here to play the Cougars and coming back home where he won the state title here. Also, Kayla Tacker, who's a sophomore flag football player at Union, was our state defensive player of the year last year's freshman. On Saturday night, she competed at halftime at the Arizona Cardinals game in a showcase, did an excellent job. And on this Thursday, she's going to the Fiesta Bowl football season kickoff. And so the guest speaker is going to be Larry Fitzgerald. So I know Mrs. Beecham is excited to be going to this event to meet Larry Fitzgerald. But we're excited that she's been chosen to attend this event as well. So those are all the reports that I have for tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Lavender. And I wanted to say to reiterate what you said about Dr. Lineberry and his staff last week about the AC issues. It was handled very well from my perspective. I know they had to kind of pivot at the last minute, but everything was communicated phenomenally. And even all the teachers reaching out to the students, there was ample communication. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Moving on to matters reserved for board action. Item A, ASBA policy revision. So this is just the first reading. Anything we need? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just jumped right over the call to the public. We have 3 calls to the public right now. I want to start with Tommy regarding PACE. Oh, sorry, before you go. Mr. Hunt, do you want to read the public content? Sorry, Richard, I'm off my game.
Yeah, that's, you're fine.
Request to speak to the governing board pursuant to ARS 38-431.02.h. The board may make an open call to the public during the public meeting, subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions to allow individuals to address the public body on any issue within its jurisdiction of the public body. At the conclusion of the open call to the public, individual board members may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the board, may ask staff to review the matter, or may ask that the matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the board shall not discuss or take legal action on matters raised during the open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. During an open call, the board may request that speakers refrain from voicing complaints against school board personnel or any persons connected with the district, as it may impact due process rights, policies. KE, KEB, and KED are provided by the board for disposition of legitimate complaints, including those involving individuals.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Okay, now Tommy, you can come up. You have 3 minutes, please.
Okay, I have to ask a question. Am I allowed to call an audience member? I want to share what I have, and then within the 3 minutes, is that okay? Yes or no?
You have 3 minutes, sir. You have 3 minutes to do what you like, sir.
Mendoza. So thank you guys for the opportunity. When we did the review with Mrs. Danzy this evening, I was writing down what can I say that matters, right? And something that I would like to say is our personalized education at PACE is what matters to me. What also matters to some of our students, and I would say all of our students and families, the opportunity to provide light. The opportunity to provide light. Pathways Accelerating Career Experiences is a school for many walks of life. One of the coolest things about PACE is our personal touch. We start our morning talking to the student body and letting them come and do leadership opportunities where they can say the pledge, but also drop some knowledge and give some cultural understandings of what we need to do to improve as a school. So, Mrs. Student Council, Mrs. Mendoza, what you got for us?
I know it was asked earlier today about the question about students excelling. My daughter, Brianna Mendoza, is one of those students that is excelling. She's currently dual enrolled. She's enrolled with CAC. She is maintaining a 4.0 GPA, as well as maintaining a good GPA and outstanding academics and behaviors with PACE High School. We have hit barriers as a parent. I know there was an issue with grades right now with PACE students, and my daughter is one of the students that is impacted. She had completed her ELA 10 with a C10, and she has completed English 11 last year in her sophomore year. But unfortunately, right now, everything is at a standstill for grades for academics with PACE students. Another thing I would like to touch base on is our weight room. We lack proper equipment that is functioning. There is a lot of equipment within the weight room that is not working right now, and our children are not be able to access the same equal opportunities for the weight room or physical fitness. Currently, right now, we are utilizing the park as an extra area for our PACE students, but there are some concerns within our students that ask, hey, there are some people that are questionable at the park. what can we do to, for safety concerns. So those are the things that are coming up with not just our parents that are coming in, but our students as well.
And losing numbers, speaking of extracurricular activities with athletics, we have a lot of neat natural resources over here, such as Carl McNabb football field, the basketball court that's right here. And so understanding that the school has a lot of potential, we also have lost students because I have like a cousin that's going to Mission Heights. We didn't have an athletics program that's directly at Pace. So I just wanted to thank you guys, though, for the opportunity to speak tonight, but also encourage you to come out to Pace, because our personal touch about our campus is why we matter and why students like James and Noelle have came tonight. They're freshman students. So, you know, I just wanted to let you guys know that we're here to build. We're here to build with you. We're here to collaborate. And that's some of the things that we have at our school. Today, James and Noelle went to the Casa Grande Alliance.
Okay,
James
thank
had
you.
an
Sorry,
opportunity
I think
to
you're,
lead. Huh?
they're 3 minutes up.
Okay. James had an opportunity to lead, and he can be scored off our performance matrix. So just wanted to give you guys that opportunity to provide.
Thank you so much. Okay, next we have Yvonne Tsai, please, regarding preparing new ninth graders for success.
Hi, board and audience. As you can already tell, this is part of a series of recommendations. And for August, I would like to propose helping students be realistically ready for grade 9 in order to create 4 years of success and not cumulative failure. For incoming grade 9 students, say about 1,000 between the two high schools, during the summer, during the summer, a teacher can do an assessment test to see where their levels are. And not state testing, but teacher giving the test to assess the students. Those who are at the grade level, they proceed to grade 9. And those who aren't need to be placed in, so to speak, grade 8.5 summer classes. Teachers, and if possible, even parents at home, teach them intense phonics so that they can catch up on reading and cursive writing. Also teach them arithmetic with proven success methods so students can catch up and be ready for algebra, calculus, trigonometry, etc. For those who catch up quickly, they will officially begin grade 9 courses. Others require longer time. We need to take however long it takes for them to be ninth grade ready. Most importantly, succeed in high school and beyond. Also, we begin a program to help students off drugs and drug prevention. Cactus Middle graduates have told me among their fellow students or schoolmates, 50 to 70% are on drugs. This is what students tell me. When students have a clear mind, they can learn greatly better and faster. With a district making extra effort to prepare incoming students ready for cumulative success, both students and even parents will be empowered for success. This, I believe, is inspiring excellence. Let's pray. Almighty God, help us go extra miles to empower students to truly learn what they should have 10 years before. In your eyes, nothing is never too late. Bless your children to be sober, sound-minded, read, write, and excel in math, science, and life. Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Our final speaker is James Velasquez regarding PACE.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is James Velasquez. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm going to be talking about some recommendations for PACE High School. So Pathways Accelerating Career Experiences is an amazing place filled with many opportunities and lots of education. Even though I've only gone to the school for about 2.5 weeks, I almost absolutely love it. The advisors we have are very supportive and are extremely about what they teach. My peers, my fellow classmates, and upperclassmen are very kind, supportive, and very helpful. So about a week ago, when Mr. Clardy informed our classes what we have at the school and the 3 phases that are set to come, I had a big idea for our school. One big idea I had was for more space, and another I had was for specifically a study hall room. Most students are kind of loud in the main area since we don't have a huge amount of space. So I was thinking that a study hall would be most effective for getting more work done, more learning, and studying for students who need more help. So I was thinking that many students have many problems with learning, how there's comprehension, and ever since COVID set back a lot of people, and a lot of people need more help, extra help with their learning, what they need to comprehend. And if there's a set specific time, maybe an hour or an after school activity for tutoring, studying, and maybe more learning opportunities, there would be an extreme amount of help for our current students and our future students. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, James. Okay, that's all the pink cards that we had tonight. Now we are moving on to item 6 on the agenda, 6A, which is the ASBA policy revision. This is just the first reading, correct, Mr. Lavender? Nothing we... Okay.
I move to approve the first reading of the policy revisions as presented.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Was that a
I
second?
second
Oh, okay, perfect. We have a motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
And Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Okay, and moving on to 6B. Terms and conditions for acceptance of monies from the Building Renewal Grant Fund.
Mrs. Harrington, we have covered tonight the challenges with our main air conditioner at Union being out currently, as we are waiting for a replacement part that we hope to acquire by the end of August. And so to tie us over, we have 2 spare chillers now that are on site, and then some other actions as well. And then there's also some repair parts from Vista Grande there. Again, Mr. Bellick has worked hard with our state facilities board to get these projects funded, and the funding mechanism and those things. And I think a few of these projects, Mrs. Beecham, the state facilities board is fully funding, correct? And so we're asking for approval to enter into these contracts or to approve these proposals so we can get these systems up and operating in the most efficient way.
Wonderful. Okay, do we have a motion?
I will make that motion.
Any discussion? Second?
Yes, second.
And do I have a second? What? Did someone say something?
I've looked at it. I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Any questions? Okay, Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
And Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, 6C. Fiscal year 2023 annual consolidated financial report and single audit reporting package.
So Mrs. Harrington, this is the audit they did for fiscal year 2023. And we go back to the year 2023, fiscal year 2023. It was a year of a lot of turnover here in the school district. And so getting through the audit was a challenge last year because of several position changes that took place during that year. I say these things not as an excuse for the challenges we had getting through the audit, but assuring the board the challenges that we faced and moving forward will be addressed as we have the team in place now to address all of these things. But we wanted to make sure the board was aware of the audit findings and that the corrective action plan that we are currently in with the Arizona Auditor General. I'm going to ask our new finance or business manager, I can never remember her exact title, Veronica, I must have said one of them right, Veronica Price, to go ahead and report. She provided all of you kind of an overview of the findings and questions and that. And so Veronica, I'll turn it over to you.
So just going over your summary, I know that attached to the board docs, there were extensive files with lots and lots of reports. What you have in front of you is just a summary of those findings. Based on the USFR questionnaire, it basically provides us with the minimum control policies and procedures that we have to follow as the Arizona School District in the areas of accounting, financial reporting, budgeting, attendance, and other compliance requirements. So on the report, each of the bolded categories are different areas that we are audited under. I put in there how many questions on the questionnaire apply to that category, and then how many findings we had in each of those categories. Again, it's not anything different than the entire packet that you were provided already. It's just an easy way to just look at all of the findings. On the back page, there is a section with the table. We had to, as Mr. Lavender shared, already have provided a corrective action plan to the Auditor General's, to our audit firm, which is submitted to the Auditor General's office regarding material weakness and non-compliance significant deficiencies. Some of these are targeted areas because of the control that is not meeting the minimum requirement. I will share that even though I was not here in 23 or last year when the fiscal year audit was completed, many of these findings, they have already been corrected. That we are in a planning stage to make sure that they are not continued practices. Some of them as easy as putting a link on our website for our AFR. They're things that we can correct immediately moving forward. Our business services team is working with all of the other departments involved in the findings to minimize these findings in the years coming. We have a meeting set up with the Auditor General's office this Wednesday to begin the non-compliance process so that we can work on completing what needs to get done to get out of non-compliance. Any questions that I can answer for you?
So on Wednesday, it starts a 90-day calendar clock for us to work on these things. And hopefully at the end of those 90 days, we will have addressed all 46 items and met the expectation to be pulled out of corrective action. And then we also have to start the process for our audit for 2024, which is the last year, and making sure that we have all these things corrected so we don't find ourselves right back in the same situation next year. I'm very confident under the leadership of Mrs. Price and her team, we're going to be able to address these items. But I wanted to make sure the board knew that. I also want to emphasize nowhere in there are they alleging any fraud. And in any way are we frauding anybody. These are just mistakes that we're making, procedures that weren't in place. And you think back to that year we had, I think Mary sometimes tells me 6 personnel directors. I don't know if it was 6, but I know it was at least 4 personnel directors, 2 superintendents. And so there was just a lot of transition during that period of time. And so consistency with the team, having this report from the state telling us what needs to be done, bringing in some consultants to work with Mrs. Price and her team, we're going to get this thing cleared up. Because although we can easily say we weren't here, we are responsible for this, and we are definitely responsible for this in moving forward to ensure our district is in the best financial position that it can be, that we're in compliance with all federal, state procurement laws and that. So we don't jeopardize any district bond ratings or anything like that.
Okay. I just had one question on your fact sheet. Under the financial reporting, can you elaborate on what it means when it says AFR did not agree with the budget?
So they compare our AFR report. So they're two separate file documents, and basically the data that was entered into our budget, expenditure budget, didn't match what was reported in the prior year AFR. That could have been due to the lost. I don't know if you guys were. I'm sorry if lost data was involved. I know that my previous school, because we had that data breach with the county, our AFR report had to be resubmitted, and they go based off of the original submission. I don't know if your district was affected by that. I guess that's a possibility, but all it is that one report, our final reconciliation report from one year, was not matching data that was put into our expenditure budget for the following year. Again, like I said, missing link on a website is another finding. Our AFR was not shared on our district website, which we're required to do. We have a CEDAR report, which basically is our personnel for the school year. That was submitted late. That's a finding. And then we did not have documentation for that CEDAR report, which is an additional finding. So one report, 3 findings, and then the disagreement between the 2 budget reports.
Do you guys have any questions? Richard, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And there's no action to take on this, but we wanted to bring it to your attention and have a public conversation. Or there is action.
Yeah, we need to approve the.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
All right, Richard, second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
And Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to our final matter reserved for board action, item D, donations.
Yes, Mrs. Harrington, we had some generous donations this last month. We received $175 from Kara Cooper for our Cascaranda Union Spirit Wine. Our Trap and Skeet Club received $500 from Iron City Polaris and $500 from Azusa Ranches LLC for $500 each for $1,000 in donations. There was the Cascaranda Police Fund donated $200 to the Cascaranda Union Wrestling Club, and $1,650 was donated by the Cascaranda Autoplex to our girls volleyball club, and Sun Construction donated $500 to the Cascaranda Union Construction Club. And we recommend that you accept these donations with enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's awesome. We always appreciate all the community support we get. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
And Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Okay, now we're on to item 7 of the consent agenda. Does anyone want to remove any items from here, or want to approve it in its entirety?
And I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, Mary, please call for the vote.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
And Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
All right, that is it there's no further discussion. We are adjourned at 7:45. Good job, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Get to bed.
Thanks. Well, thank you.